Hello everyone, my name's Nathan Huxtable and I normally work with you at the Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge. Today I'm very happy to have you back in my art studio shed for a making activity using salt dough, inspired by our brilliant talk from the Zoology Museum about the exhibition Breaking Point. To make the salt dough we will need scales, a bowl for mixing in, some water, some salt and some flour. Something to mix the ingredients together, and I also have a knife ready for cutting if we need that. The next step is to mix all the ingredients together, adding the water slowly and mixing until you have a nicely mixed dough. If the dough is too dry, it will crumble, and if it is too wet, it'll be difficult to work with. So you can always add a little more water or add a little more flour until it's a nice consistency to work with. Once you have the dough to the consistency that you want, you need to leave it for 20 minutes to allow the water to absorb into the flour and the salt. Once it's rested for 20 minutes, when you start to work with it, you'll find it has a consistent texture and is easy to work with. I've chosen to make a number of fishes because those appealed to me, but you could also make the birds if you wish, or something else. The technique I'm using is to pull off a small amount of the dough and roll it into a kind of sausage shape and start to mold it into a fish shape from there. I've used the knife to cut a triangular shape out of the back of my fish to mimic the fins, and then from there I'm kind of building and molding the fish. I wanted to mimic the sculpture that Mela has made, so I'm making multiples of the fish, but I'm going to make them all slightly different so that I can arrange them in different ways, which I find pleasing, much like Mela has done with her sculpture. I found that using water to smooth the surface of my fish meant that I could get a nice, clean, smooth finish. When you've finished all your sculptures, place them on a baking tray, on parchment if you have it, and bake for 3 hours on a very low heat. Now I like the finish just as it is, but if you wanted to add some colour, you could crush down some charcoal and rub over the surface. This is quite messy but fun. You could also varnish with PVA, or you could use gouache paint. The exhibition Breaking Point is on at the Zoology Museum from the 8th of July until the 3rd of October 2021.